welcome in to Feldco Football Recap Live with Tommy Waddle and Olin Kreutz. I'm David Kaplan. The season has come to an end at 7-10, but rather than dissect the Green Bay Packers game, I was there, first time ever, super cool. You guys played in that stadium. I had cocktails in the stadium. It was tremendous. It was awesome, but we're going to break down what was said and not said at the press conference to wrap up the season today. So that is our Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric press conference recap season breakdown. All right, Olin.
Yes.
You and I were talking on the phone. Tommy and I were talking on the phone. Mm-hmm. So Olin made a great comment to me that I have now been repeating that he said to me. Tommy, I said to him, I cannot believe they're going to run Eberflus back and maybe Justin Fields. I'm so mad. He said, no. Correct me if I'm wrong, OG. You said, no. The correct thing you're supposed to say is, I'm so mad, but I'm not surprised. Isn't that what you said?
Yeah, I don't think anybody was surprised the way the Bears have done and the way they're doing business, right? And it doesn't seem like the right thing to do. The only thing they have in their corner, I would guess, Tom, is now they have all these assets to use, right? They have the first pick of the draft. They have what I think is the 9th pick of the draft. They have all this money. They have young guys. They have a lot of decisions to make, but they do have ways to add to their football team, to their 7-10 football team, I guess you would say. But them keeping Coach Eberflus, moving on from Getsy, saying that they liked what Coach Eberflus did when he kept the team together, sounds crazy, right? But we've seen this story before.
Yeah, I guess look, I think Matt Eberflus did some nice things, especially the second half of the season. I do give guys credit for Olin. I mean, you know how the season's a lifetime and the ebbs and flows and the roller coaster ride that it can be. And, when things are going bad, sometimes it's hard to stop that truck as it's going downhill 100 miles an hour. And I give him credit for some of the improvements that occurred, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But I would just ask them up there, look, at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is make your football team better in all aspects, right? Like, are you going to upgrade the center position? Are you looking to upgrade the center position? Are you looking to upgrade the other wide receiver position? Are you looking to upgrade the 3 technique? Are you looking to upgrade the opposite side pass rusher on the other side of Montez Sweat? And if the answer to all those questions, and it should be yes, then you should ask yourself the same question. Should we be looking to upgrade ourselves at head coach? And the reason I ask that question, Olin, is because much like the quarterback situation, look, if the Bears were picking 15th, we wouldn't be having the conversation about whether or not they're going to move on from Justin Fields and pivot and go in a different direction. We're asking that question because they have access to an asset that allows them to pivot and move and ultimately move off of Justin if they want to. They had the capacity, if they wanted to move off of Matt Eberflus, say thank you, and then move to somebody, whether it was Mike Vrabel or you can interview Jim Harbaugh or whoever it is. I think if you're going to look to upgrade your team at different positions, I don't know why you wouldn't be trying to do the same thing at all of the coaching spots if it was available to you.
So yeah, I don't. It's just really interesting to me that the things they said today, right? It was like, I don't know. They were trying to convince themselves of the things that was coming out of their mouth, right? That they, he guided us through these rough times, made the defense better. What made the defense better? The $98 million you threw at Montez Sweat, right? Yep. Because before that, today they say they fired Luke Getsy, right? Said they didn't see enough improvement on offense or the ability to adjust. I didn't see that either until you got Montez Sweat, right? I didn't see all that blitzing, all that man coverage, and all that pressure until you got Montez. If I'm Getsy, I'm sitting in a chair, and they tell me that, I laugh. And I say, you give me the $210 million of players you got, Coach Eberflus. And I make the offense look a little better too.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you hear Ryan Poles, this guy's a rock here, Matt Eberflus. He just comes in and steadies the ship. And some of that is true. But do you have to take with a grain of salt what he says when you beat Brian Hoyer and Josh McDaniels? You beat Josh Dobbs, who was inactive at the end of the year for the Minnesota Vikings. You beat Kyler Murray when it was cold in Chicago. The Atlanta Falcons and Taylor Heineke. I mean, what are we doing here?
I think it's a great point, Cap. I think that you judge people when they're facing the most stress and they're facing the biggest challenge. I think that those moments matter more. I think you could say the same thing about the quarterback and the offense. How'd you play against the better defenses? How'd you play in the fourth quarter? I mean, you can not just the offense, but you ask the defense as well. So, look, I mean, we said this. We had this conversation, I remember 3 or 4 weeks ago, and maybe it was a little longer than that. And Olin, I think we sat around and we said, look, sometimes the most uncomfortable decisions are the ones that are the right decisions. And sometimes the comfortable ones that you think are going to lead to continuity throughout the building aren't the right ones. So time will tell. Again, I'm not sitting here looking to dog cuss Matt Eberflus. I think there were some things that they did well, but like they tried to put a bow tie on a 7-10 season, didn't they? I mean,
they did.
And
even Olin got a shout out. Did you hear that?
Yeah, he did.
Braxton Jones is making progress. He worked with Olin.
I did a little better at this press conference than I did in the other ones, right?
Yeah, I think when
I basically got called a liar. That's all right. That's okay.
I think when he said that, though, I think I did see George McCaskey try to pull the plug on the extension cord that was actually to the video cam. No, I'm joking.
No, it's interesting to watch and listen to them because they've earned all our doubt. Right. And they are in a good position. The question you ask yourself when you look at this young general manager, the head coach, and the new president is, did they luck into this position? Right. Did Lovie Smith put them in a position they're in by getting that first pick last year? Right. And you do trade it and Carolina ends up a mess and you get the first pick again. Right. So they do have a lot to prove, Cap and Tom. And look, when you're 3-18 against your rivals since 2011, well, we've earned the right to question. You've earned the right to get questioned. And I'm just sitting back and waiting. They talked today about a lot of improvement, right? I go back, I look at 2021 and say, man, look how much we did improve from our 3-14 season. And I say, well, the season that you created, right, by trading away. Right. Today we heard a lot about Montez Sweat, Tez effect, the multiplier. There's people in Baltimore who tell you Roquan's the same guy for them. Right, there's people in Baltimore that are the number one scoring defense in the league right now. They'll tell you Roquan Smith is the same football player for them. Khalil Mack had sacks this year. You created that team last year, that team that lost a lot of football games, and you got better. So I'd rather go back and compare you to the 2021 and 2020 Chicago Bears. Right, they say, okay, are you better than those football teams? Have you done better than Ryan Pace's last 2 or 3 drafts? Are there more football players on the team now? Tevin Jenkins, remember, it's from that time. Roquan Smith, remember, Cole Kmet, Jalen Johnson, all from that time, right? Those are good football players. So when I go to compare you, that's what I'm comparing you to. Stop talking to me about the team you created last year and you're better than that team.
That's a great point that you make because you look out there, you go, whether you like him or not, Darnell Mooney, at some point, people liked him. That was a pace pick. Khalil Herbert, that was a pace pick. Tevin Jenkins, pace pick. You're exactly right that it's not as easy as they try to put a bow tie on the season today.
It really is. And my partner on the postgame show on the score, Mike Mulligan, likes to say they do a really nice job making you feel good about losing. Right? They really do. And they say a lot of things and they get caught up in their own, and they have to, right? That's what they have to do. And I understand that. But these years coming up, these decisions coming up, we all know everyone's whispering. Stroud is over there in Houston, man. Like, whew, that would have been nice, right? Like, we understand what you did. We understand we need a lot of things to fix. But now we're all watching, right? And the time is running out now. Now it's time. And, you know, Kevin Warren talks about the Rams. 1997, okay, like, guys, that's never going to happen again. Kurt Warner was sitting there waiting for you. Right. Kurt Warner, they signed Marshall Faulk in 1999. They drafted Orlando Pace, right? It's Hall of Famers. Torrey Holt came right after. It's Hall of Famers. So, yes, you give me 3 or 4 Hall of Famers at quarterback, running back, tackle, and wide receiver, and, yes, you're right. The offense will turn around.
It's interesting, too, guys. Like there's so much still to be proven. And, again, look, I find myself constantly having to say, I do think that there were some good things that happened. You're going to entrust the head coach to, again, in the second time in 3 years, to hire a DC and hire an offensive coordinator. And that offensive coordinator is going to be entrusted with a really big chore, whether it's to develop the number one pick in the draft, or it's to try and get more out of Justin Fields than the previous staffs. I don't mean staff, but staffs have been able to get out of him. And I'm not talking marginal improvement. I'm talking about massive improvement, because if you're going to keep Justin, what you need to get out of him is not just one step forward. He's got to be the reason why offensively you take an enormous step. That's the role of the next offensive coordinator. So whoever that guy is, this is a crazy important hire. And my hope is that they're going to bring in someone, whoever it is, who's done it before, because there's too many scenarios inside that building right now with you're entrusting a ton of responsibility to people that haven't done it before. And that would just leave me a little bit concerned.
Okay, but Bobby Slowick had never called a play. He goes from San Francisco, where he worked on both sides of the ball, by the way, and goes down to Houston with a rookie quarterback and a first-time head coach. And guess what? They have a home game this weekend.
It happens. It happens, Cap. And I'm not saying it can't, but we tried that last, didn't we? Didn't we try that? Didn't we just try that with Luke Getsy? How'd that go?
Not well.
Time play caller. So why are we going to do that again? Because, I mean, obviously, I'm not blaming everything on the quarterback, because I don't think he's been surrounded by a ton. But maybe that's a direct result to C.J. Stroud being a multiplier that Olin talks about all the time. Maybe that's a result of a guy that can take people and lift them up, and their performance is better because of them being around him. So, look, you can find someone who's a first-time play caller if that's what you want to do. Didn't work the previous time. I wouldn't do it. There's no chance. Not again, especially with look, Bobby Slow can go down there. If they have a rough opening season in their rookie year, which they didn't. They won 10 games and they won the AFC South. But nobody's going to push you out the door. You bring in a first-time play caller again and it doesn't go well, what do you think's going to happen? So I'm just saying to you, as a fan of the team, at this point, I would rather, if that's the route you're going to go, and you're going to trust Matt Eberflus and the crew up at Hallis Hall to determine who the next offensive coordinator is, I'd rather that guy actually have some skins on the wall. That's just, that's my preference.
OG?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who they pick. And like you're talking about, Captain Thomas talking about, it's hard to trust what we just watched, right? And one of the things I worry about, and I'm a big fan of his, Coach Morgan, the offensive line coach for the Bears, we talk about just doing things the right way, right? Just like we talk about with the way the organization's built and the president should hire, and we're not going to get that chance. So they're going to do it their way, and we got to hope that it works, that it strikes gold. It's just not the right way to do it, to say, well, the offensive line coach is staying and whoever comes has to have him, right? It just doesn't make, when he's sitting there and saying, yes, he is going to be here, he's hired, that he's going to be the O-line coach. To me, it just borderlines on crazy to me. It's just coach, just say we're gonna have him interview with the guy we hire, right? We all know the most important relationship is the OC and the O-line coach. That is the most important relationship in a building for the offensive side of the ball. It's the guy who draws the plays and the guy who draws the protections. And those two things got to marry up. I was in a room with Mike Martz and Mike Tice, and then they get along for a long time. And it was interesting to watch. Two very smart guys, right? It didn't work in the beginning because there was a lot of friction, but it started working after a while. But all I'm saying is that there's just immediately, not only because you hired Getsy and that didn't work, not only that we all saw the first year that he wasn't going to change his offense, not only that we were asking on this show for you to change the play caller, by the way, 4 weeks ago, and you didn't, right? That worries me already, that you hired the wrong group of guys, right? And the running back coach got fired in season, and now the tight Tolbert's gone, everyone's gone. Now you're telling me, yeah, that's fine, but this guy has to hire the O-line. His O-line coach is hired already, by the way. Okay, Coach Eberflus and Ryan Poles, let me call you guys up. That's the wrong way to do it.
And who takes that job, Olin?
Yeah, you ain't gonna tell me that. You ain't gonna tell me that, Tom. No, I'm not. No, I'm not doing it. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, like, think about it. Who's taking that job? Somebody will. I don't know. Is it Frank Reich? Is Frank Reich going to take it because he has a relationship?
Eric Bieniemy?
Is Eric Bieniemy? I don't know. But then again, like as Olin is saying, you bring in a new OC, and I like Morgan. I think he's really good. You know him better than I, and you would be able to evaluate him better than I. But just we're never on schedule together with everybody, and it's frustrating because you had a chance. You had a chance to get everyone on schedule more so than you have had in the past. And like, if you're Frank Reich, you taking that job? Like, for what? Like, and think about this too, guys. And maybe I'm just making a mountain out of a molehill. Let's just say go through a number of these scenarios. Say you want to move forward with Justin. Is Frank Reich coming in here and complete? Frank Reich's been in the business for how long? Frank Reich doesn't run an offense that will, pander to the skill set of a dual threat.
And you think he's coming in for 1 year to save a guy in his fourth year?
I don't know. I don't know that. I mean, I'm not sure. Is Arthur Smith going to come in and do it because that's kind of his style? I have no idea. I don't know who they're going to bring in, and then it matters who's the quarterback. I mean, like, I'm just concerned that there's a whole lot of hard to answer questions associated with this.
Yeah, it's like we're talking about, right? Like, if Coach Morgan is that good, I'm sure he doesn't mind interviewing for the job. I think he's good. I'm sure he doesn't mind the competition of it. To me, it's just not the right way to say, okay, yeah, we're going to hire an OC, but his O-line coach is here already, no matter what, right? Like, if Coach Morgan is that good, then he'll get that job anyway.
Yeah.
Correct. Right? Then he'll interview and he'll present his concepts and his schemes and his film and the way he teaches things. And you heard Coach Eberflus say today, big Rod Marinelli guy always talks about teaching the coaches, right? You got to be able to coach the coaches. You got to be able to motivate the coaches. That's a Rod Marinelli right there. I've heard Coach Marinelli say that all through the years. Show me what you do on with your drills. Show me that on film in the games. Coach Marinelli will say that. I promise you, Coach Morgan doesn't mind doing that.
Right.
But for all I'm asking you is to do it the right way. Say, look, we like – I'm a big fan of Coach Morgan's. We'd like for this guy to keep him, but that's his choice.
All right, let's take a look at Justin Fields' season numbers. It's our Westtown Bakery OK Dispensary, Westtown Bakery in Wheeling, corner of Lake Cook and Milwaukee. Justin Fields winging it numbers. There you go, 227 for 370, threw for 2,562 yards, 16 TDs to 9 interceptions, and he ran for another 657. And my brother said, hey, I know you're doing your show tonight with Olin and Tommy. I'm going to give you some numbers that he pulled up. This is Justin Fields since his first start in the NFL in 2021. 38 qualified quarterbacks played from that date through the end of the Packer game. Completion percentage, 60%. That's 35th of 38. Sack percentage, 12.4. That's 38 out of 38. Pressure percentage, 46.2. Last, 38th. Interception percentage, 37th. Those are not real good numbers. And then you look, Jordan Love had the ball out 2.74 seconds on Sunday. Justin, a league worst, 3.35.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yes, I don't need the stats to tell you. I watched him for 2 years now, right? And we know that offense didn't work, and we know that they are considering taking a quarterback with that first pick of the draft. We all saw Justin Fields improve at the end of the year. I wouldn't argue that. I wouldn't argue that at all. I actually was saying at one point in the Green Bay game, I was like, man, that ball's coming out.
Yeah,
it's coming out pretty damn fast. And watching him play, and we all know those big plays he makes, and we all know the incredible Houdini tricks he pulls, right? And I thought he actually got better even at processing information at the line of scrimmage pre-snap. Yeah. But did he get good enough, Tom, to not consider the first pick of the draft? No, I'm not going to say that at all. Now, if I'm Justin Fields, I do the same argument I gave you for Luke Getson, and I say again, what was Coach Eberflus's unit ranked before he got Montez Sweat? Right? I mean, it's just talent, right? Talent. You got to have talent out there, man. You got to have guys. DJ Moore. Imagine this. Imagine the Bengals were out of it, Tom. The Bengals are out of it. They trade you T. Higgins, right? I will take T. Higgins, right? We'll give him T. Higgins all that money. I'll put him outside DJ Moore. I wonder what the pass offense would have looked like.
It's certainly
a whole lot different.
Yeah, there's no question. I agree with what Olin said. I think when I look at the film, especially the last couple of weeks of the season, I see improvement from Justin on all fronts. I really do. And I don't know, guys, whether or not it just kind of all came together late or it was just him saying, F it. I'm going to go out there and just play without any reservations, because my issues, the off-platform plays are intoxicating. There's no question. He's one of one when he does certain things. It's the other stuff that leaves you kind of still wanting more. It's I wouldn't even say the inability, but just not even trying to push the ball downfield at times. Because I think when he came back from the injury, Eberflus kept talking about this 200 policy where what we want is 2 touchdowns total, no sacks and no interceptions. And I do give him a lot of credit for taking care of the football better. But sometimes you got to push the ball downfield and take chances. And I thought there were so many things that he passed up early in the season. Just, step up in the pocket and let it rip. If you're a little bit off target, so what? If it gets intercepted, that's fine. We want you to be reckless, but you have to be aggressive. And I thought there was no aggression to how he approached the passing game. And I thought that improved. I thought I saw his best game by far was the Atlanta game.
Yes.
Like Olin, I didn't think they only scored 3 field goals against Green Bay, but I didn't think that was because Justin was playing poorly. In fact, I thought he was the least of their problems in that game. The answer, the question you got to ask is has it improved enough to forego using the first pick of the draft on someone that you think can take you further? And we've had this conversation now for months and months. And I won't go off of that. That to me is still the most important question. Justin has been better. He hasn't been dealt a great hand, but at this particular time, you still have the first pick of the draft. And there are guys that if you think take you further than Justin can take you, you got to pick one of them and move on.
See, the thing I hear, right? The thing I hear when I hear them say we're going to keep our O-line coaches, I hear the fact them say we have our run game coordinator is fine.
Yeah.
Right. We have our run game. We have our schemes. We have our concepts. We need a pass game guy. That's what I hear them saying. Our pass game is not good enough. That's what I hear when you say you're going to keep your O-line coach on the number 1 rush offense in the NFL. Our stuff is not good enough. Now, that just tells me that the quarterback's not good enough. The scheme was good enough. We moved on from the coach. We heard Ryan Poles say, look, I'm considering keeping 2 quarterbacks, right? I understand his thought process. We've talked about this a lot on this show, right? It's in the absence of logic not working, you got to throw logic out the window and see what the hell may work. So I understand what he's saying there, because he said I got a million things and I'm thinking about them. I credit him for being honest at that time. But no one in their right mind is going to say that they watched Justin Fields the last 2 years and saw what they wanted to see. And Tom's point, man, the O-line, they got beat up the last game against Green Bay. And there wasn't a lot of chance there for the quarterback. And I tell you what, I tell you a lot of times, I'm an offensive line apologist, right? I will watch film and tell you 100 times that the lineman this and that, and they got that game I had nothing, Tom. Yeah, I turned the film on, the guys were getting beat, right? And they lost their center going to the game. And it's always fascinating to me, guys. The Chicago media for years, as long as I've done it, and I'm one of them, they will complain about the O-line for months. I didn't hear one question today about the center position. Yeah. That was their biggest mistake. The way their plan at the center spot was one of their biggest mistakes on offense. Nobody asked one question to Ryan Poles about how he felt about his plan at center. Right? How did you feel your plan at center? How did you feel your plan at right guard? How did you feel your plan at Cody Whitehair? Right? That fell apart on them. Yeah. They beat bad against Green Bay because of that, against their rivals at the end of the year. They ended on a bad note. Right? But the same people who will complain about the O-line for months will not ask a question about it. Yeah. Right? That plan was his worst plan. So as bad as the OC was, that offensive line plan in the middle this year did not work. Did not work.
And to Olin's credit, before the season started, I was over at his house, and he said, I've watched Cody Whitehair try to be a center under John Fox, under Matt Nagy, and this is a mistake. He's a good football player. If you play him at guard, this is not going to end well. And, of course, that was the problem. And then Tevin Jenkins, he went on social media and said, I'm sorry, Bears fans. I had my picked the worst time to have my worst game. He's a good
guys. Look, I know that they're not big fans of Joe Barry in Green Bay. I think they're probably, even if they win against Dallas this weekend, there's still people that want Joe Barry gone as their defensive coordinator. Their front defensively and their front offensively, their O-line and D-line, they consistently dominate us. That's got to be something that our crew up there at Hallis Hall identifies where we're not doing things that we need to be doing correctly, and we need to rectify that sooner rather than later. I don't even know what stunts I was looking at, Olin. All I know is what the Green Bay Packers were doing had our guys completely confused, and they beat our ass at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football.
By the way, Kenny Clark, 15-0 now against the Bears in his career. And then I saw the Quay Walker comments. We played him on the radio. I don't know if you did, Tommy, or if you heard him, Olin. But Quay Walker said, hey, man, if we know if we keep that guy in the pocket, don't let him get outside and run on us and make him play quarterback, we're going to beat them. That's pretty indicting stuff.
Well, that's everyone's game plan against Justin Fields, right? That's not something that people don't know, right? Everyone knows that. So and they don't have to keep him in the pocket because Luke Getsy was going to do that for you anyway. So don't even worry about it. You don't have to keep him there. Coach Getsy wanted to keep him there anyway, and there's a guy you'd love to get a beer with in a bar, and I'd love to just talk to him. Be like, Coach Getsy, what did you think about Justin Fields, and what did you feel like your game plan was limited? Why didn't you go to more college concepts? It was the fact that you didn't have guys on your staff that could help you get to more college concepts. Just things like that you want to ask. But what Quay Walker said, them running those TTs inside against basically what ended up being, the Bears' third string center, right? Because Cody Whitehair, Lucas Patrick, and now Dan Feeney, right? And then you slide into Cody Whitehair. Guys, Cody Whitehair, when's the last time, I don't know if ever, he was in a right-handed stance in a live game? He played left tackle in college. He played left guard for the Bears, and he played center. He was in a right-handed stance at right guard in the game. Why wasn't Jatari Carter suited up? Again, I don't want to go back to the Green Bay Packers game, but I'm just talking to you about the guys who are making decisions on the offense are the same guys who made these decisions this past year. So don't ask me to have total faith in it. Thank you very much.
You're on fire. Love it. Armchair Fantasy Football says, Cap, if you're Ryan Poles, what are you doing with those first-round picks? I am grabbing Caleb Williams. If he passes all my background checks, I'm taking Caleb Williams. I watched a bunch of tape on him this weekend. Tommy did as well. I know Olin has seen him. Now, I don't know how to evaluate quarterback play, but I got two eyes. That kid is a freaking beast. Holy smokes.
Yeah, look, it's like most guys.
I'm taking him, and I'm taking a receiver or a left tackle.
You got to coach him up. You got to coach him up. That's what you have to. You don't want to neuter him, but you do have to focus on, fundamentals and taking care of the football. I thought that was one of the things that Justin did really well with regard to the fumbles. Like, he really worked on ball security, where he was holding the ball as he was dropping back, or how he functioned in the pocket with the ball security. And that's something that Caleb Williams is going to have to work on as well. But again, man, I can't say it enough. If you look at the tape and you do the work and you do the leg work and you do the interviews and you're comfortable with who he is as a guy and as a player, and you get the first overall pick and you think he's a better option, I don't know why you wouldn't do it. What's the excuse? Is it because you think that Justin is going to blossom going forward? Okay. Or that you want to build your team out and see where it goes? All right. Make it work. Whatever choice Ryan Poles decides to make, just make the right one. But again, I don't think you can be scared at that position. If you like the guy or one of these guys at number one and he passes the smell test, I think you gotta make the pick, for crying out loud.
Mm-hmm. Olin, I talked to a coach today who's in the league, and I said, give me your thoughts on Justin Fields. He said, look, he's a good kid. He works hard. His teammates respect him. All that is true. He is not good enough. And you cannot he said there's no other team in the league other than maybe the Bears that would leave Caleb Williams on the board. Not one.
Yeah, and especially what you guys just talked about, what his film looks like. And then obviously you heard Ryan Poles talk a lot today about the person, right? And that goes without saying, checking in on all that stuff. And I've seen a lot of guys who play really good football who make you forget about the bad person, but that's a whole nother story. Listen, it's just Justin Fields. He had the 2 years, what you saw, he didn't do enough to say, look, if this Caleb Williams, and we all know about the rookie quarterback window, like that's a thing, man. I mean, the money and building your team and building everything around a young quarterback as you make a run at this thing that everyone knows anything about the salary cap, knows anything about the NFL right now will say you are crazy if you don't take a young rookie quarterback at one right now and make a run with what looks like a very good defense. And can you surround this quarterback with all kinds of talent with the money you would have to give to Justin Fields to make that run?
And think about it too, guys. Like I hear everyone talk about the risk. Of course there's risk.
Oh, yeah.
If you use the number one pick on a quarterback, there's risk. I would argue there's risk if you don't draft that quarterback number one. If you move forward with Justin and you pair him with an offensive coordinator and you get the same results that you got this year with Justin and Luke Getsy, then isn't that a risk? Like, what if he doesn't make the progress that you're hoping that he will make? You know, at that point, then what you've risked is the opportunity, A, to draft someone with the first overall selection, and you've lost the opportunity maybe to trade Justin when other teams around the league have a high opinion of him. So, like, there's risk associated with drafting a quarterback first overall or moving forward with Justin. There's risk with everything.
It's a legacy pick in my opinion. Yeah. This is Ryan Poles' legacy. If he F's up this decision, it says, all right, we're leaving Caleb Williams on the board and we're going to stick with Justin. And Caleb Williams is playing in the Pro Bowl next year on a team that won 10 games that was shitty this year. And Justin isn't getting you where you got to go. You're getting fired, and vice versa, right?
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, because they find ways to keep people around, even if you're not really getting where you need to go. But I get what you're saying, Cap.
Yeah, and you know, you hate to say this right now because of all the excitement, and Caleb Williams could be the guy, and they could turn this around. But there's a voice in my head that whispers every time he might have missed his legacy pick already. Right, that kid may be in Houston. I mean, these are just facts, man. I mean, like if that guy ends up being a franchise quarterback and you don't have one, you missed. Like that history is going to tell you missed. No matter how much you got for the pick, no matter how much you said you restocked on assets and picks, if Caleb Williams and Justin Fields end up being not franchise quarterbacks, and Stroud ends up being one, that's it. I mean, that's your legacy pick.
And it's funny. I think the play of Stroud actually probably puts a little, and just perception from where I'm sitting, just my opinion. I would think the fact that Stroud has done what he's done puts a little more pressure on Ryan to actually make that pick at one. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, wow, I can't let this go again. Like we did what we needed to do last year, and I don't think they had any intention of using that pick. I think once they got it and they were fortunate to have the number one overall pick, I don't think they thought very long or hard about actually making that pick. I think they were going to trade it all along. And, okay, but this year, I think that they have a different approach and they have a different perspective. So if you decide you're not going to use that pick on a quarterback, and like you guys say, that guy becomes the player that CJ Stroud projects to be, boy, that's
so Olin, I said to Tommy, I don't know, maybe 10 days ago, we were having a conversation, and I said, Tommy, I don't know if I would take back the trade, even as good as Stroud has been, simply because I need a right tackle. I got to fix my O-line. DJ Moore, I don't have anything. I got the number one pick this year and their second rounder last year and their second rounder next year. And Tommy said, okay, that's all well and fine, but CJ Stroud, it may end up being an all-pro quarterback. I saw a stat yesterday. He is the third guy in NFL history to have the most yards passing per game, along with the best touchdown interception ratio. And the only other two guys have done that, Tom Brady and Joe Montana.
Right. And by the way, he doesn't have a ton of talent in his skill position. So, I haven't watched a ton of Stroud this year, but that Indianapolis game sure was impressive, man.
That throw he made backpedaling was insane.
Yeah. I mean, he just plays good football. Anyway, Cap, your argument is a good one. And that's why there is faith up there at Hallis Hall. That's why even with them keeping Coach Eberflus and doing things, I guess what you would call the Bears way, there is hope, right? Because you see all the picks and you see all the assets they have to build the team. And, Ryan Poe's throw $200 million at the offense to see what it looks like next year, right? And a couple, maybe one or two draft picks. And let's see it. Let's see what's going on. You're going to add all these guys there. But like we all know, if you don't have your quarterback, you're chasing your tail. Over and over again, you're chasing your tail. I played here for 13 years. You guys do. Tom played here. You guys do media here in Chicago. We've been watching it for too long. We've seen great teams without this franchise quarterback, and you just can't sustain it.
I will tell you this. If you tell me I get Caleb Williams on a rookie deal and Rome Odunze from Washington, because I think Harrison will be gone, I'll take that receiver right freaking now. Him and Caleb and DJ Moore and Cole Kmet. Oh, sign me up.
I'm with you 100%. But I think even more importantly, if you get the quarterback right, you don't always have to have Marvin Harrison Jr.
Well, what did Jordan Love beat us with? Bo Melton, Dontavian Wicks? Come on.
Now, and again, like Christian Watson is a good football player, wasn't available. I think they lost
A.J. Dillon.
They lost Romeo Dobbs in the first series of that game. And Olin points out what they have in Houston. Like, would C.J. Stroud be even better if they had Marvin Harrison Jr. or Odunze or the kid Neighbors from LSU? Of course he would. I'm just telling you, though, if the quarterback is right, you can make more out of less than if you do it the other way around, where if you give the quarterback a ton of talent, he's still got to make the throws and the reads. Like I said last year, I don't care if the name on the back of the jersey is Rice, as in Jerry Rice, or it's Pettis, as in Dante Pettis Jr. Open's open in the NFL. And if you're open, you got to throw it. So, I mean, better talent obviously will help the cause. But if you get the most important position in all of sports correct, that guy can be a multiplier that makes everyone around him better. And I mean, I think that's the formula you want, right? You don't want the formula where you have to lift your quarterback up by surrounding him with all kinds of talent. You want the other.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, with Jordan Love, Luke Buckus, my former teammate Dick Buckus' nephew, his offensive line unit, guys. I mean, they were shuttling guys in and out. Yeah. They had a 4th-round pick, they had a 7th-round pick at left tackle. Bakhtiar has been out the whole year. They were shuttling guys in on the right guard, and they were still blocking, moving the ball, doing the things they got to do to beat the Chicago Bears. And it was hard to watch. It really was, because when you put the rosters up, you said, man, our Chicago Bears have a chance to win this game. And the defense, for as bad as I thought they looked, they only gave up 17 points. We just couldn't put the ball in the end zone. But it's just very interesting when you hear all the arguments for Justin Fields, and you go around and you say, man, well, that quarterback's doing that with this guy. Then it's, okay, well, we got rid of Luke Getsy now. So then I guess it was Luke Getsy. It's just going to be an interesting offseason to watch, and then watch the team play next year also.
All right, we got to take our time out. We'll come back. A lot more to do. We don't have another game to look ahead to, but we do have the playoffs. We'll get the guys' thoughts on that, but we'll continue breaking out today's Bears news. That's next.
This new year, make your home feel new again with the home renewal experts at Feldco.
Now is the perfect time to start your home upgrade with 30% off Feldco windows, siding, doors, and roofing. You can trust us to bring your project to life and leave you delighted. Let us delight you this year with 30% off Feldco windows, siding, doors, and roofing.
30% off ends soon. Hurry. Call now.
For quality windows, siding, and doors, call 866 for Feldco.
Feldco Bears Recap Live is brought to you by Feldco, Chicago's home renewal experts. Call 866-4-FELDCO. 4 Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. For all the right reasons, 4 seasons. Vienna Beef. Go to viennabeef.com and use code CAP23. That's KAP23 at checkout for 15% off your order today. And Dr. Pepper. Grab an ice cold, refreshing Dr. Pepper today at a McDonald's near you. Westtown Bakery in Wheeling at the corner of Lake Cook Road and Milwaukee. Enjoy the best brunch Saturday and Sunday mornings. And also enjoy their THC-infused fudge brownie mix. Oh, it was very, very well received over here. Yeah. All right, so I want to ask you a question. If I told you, because Ryan Poles said today, hey, my phone's always on. Somebody wants to make me a big offer. My phone's on. Call me. So if I said to you, someone called, we'll call them the Atlanta Falcons. We want to go from 9 up to 1. We want Caleb Williams. We'll give you 9 and our next 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick. Are you trading away Caleb Williams if your homework tells you he's that dude because you're going to get all these extra picks?
No way. No way. No, Drake May, no way. Would I ever trade anything for a franchise quarterback? That's why they're trading it, right? That's why people are trading all those picks for that quarterback. And if I think that guy's a dude, no, I won't do it because I think that's crazy, Cap. I don't know what you think, but there's a reason people are coming. Like if I have a house and somebody comes and offers me with like an enormous amount of money for it, I stop and look at the house and say, man, maybe I should keep this thing, right? Maybe there's something to it. So if someone walks in with 4 number 1, whatever they offer, I don't know if I can do it, Cap, because if we heard Ryan Poles, we heard Kevin Warren today. What did they say? We're in this for the long term, right?
Correct.
We're playing the long game. If you're playing the long game, then you got to get your franchise quarterback so you can compete year in and year out. We know that too much here in Chicago. And furthermore, if you give the Chicago fans finally their quarterback, their 4,000-yard passer, the guy who leads you to the playoffs year in and year out, you just did something for a generation of Bears fans that Bears fans have not seen around here ever.
So I asked Bill Polian when Peyton Manning was in his prime, what would it have taken for you to trade him? And he said, this is no bullshit. I'm quoting him. No bullshit. If you called and said, I'll give you my next 10 number 1s, I would have said, yeah, thanks. Keep him. He's important to my team.
Yeah, no way. There's no way, Cap. I mean, would you trade for him? You've been around here long enough in Chicago. Would you trade that pick if you thought Caleb Williams or even May? May's another guy that a lot of people like. They compare him to Herbert somewhat out there in San Diego. He's another guy people like. So if you think one of those quarterbacks are your guy or the guy you want to lead your franchise, I don't think there's enough picks to trade for.
Agreed. If somebody called me and said, I want Caleb Williams, I would look and go, I'll give you Justin Fields. But
right.
That kid, this is our shot. We're taking him if he checks up all the boxes.
Yeah, if he checks all the boxes, and even if he leaves one kind of unchecked, right? Because you got to get yourself a quarterback in this league. You got to get yourself to the point of where that position is not a question mark anymore. And I know that they're going to look through all the character and ask his teammates. And I heard Ryan Bowles talk about the way he goes through the process of talking to people who've been around the kid a lot. He wants to get around the kid a lot. They're going to go through all of this year. I'd be shocked, Cap. Shocked if they don't take a quarterback.
So let me ask you a question. You went through the process. Tommy was undrafted. He went through some of the process. You were drafted and highly talented coming out of University of Washington. How is that process? And did they go back and talk to teammates or high school teachers? I've heard stories where they've gone back to the 7th grade and said, hey, why did that kid get picked on by you? Or why did you, what was this story that I heard about? Like, they ask everything. Is that right?
They do. They go through the whole process, and I'm not a quarterback. I was a lowly center, but I dropped in the draft a little bit because of some character issues, and I was young, coming out 20 years old, and they ask your strength coach what you like. They ask the people in your dorm what you like. Your position coach, like you heard Ryan Poles say, they ask people who've been around you a lot, right? And they want to go through the whole process of talking to people and seeing exactly what you're getting. So, and nowadays, Cap, with social media, right, with all the information out there, with the things they got to do with these kids, and Ryan Poles mentioned today, right there on the he knows. I credit him. He knows how hard it is to play quarterback in Chicago. I credit him for noticing that, because we've talked about on this show, Cap, and me and you've talked about as long as we've known each other, that they have to recognize in that building how hard it is to play quarterback in this city, and make sure when a young man comes in, you're explaining to him about what he's about to go through. We've talked a lot about their PR department and how they have to get better there. I'm sure Kevin Warren wants them better, right? He wants the media side better. We saw Coach Eberflus go on stage a couple of times this year and not be ready for the questions he's about to ask, right? It's not good, right? So they got to improve on. I heard Kevin Warren say, I want elite people at different positions. They got to get more than just elite football players to turn that building around.
It's a great point, because coming in here to play quarterback, we saw Mitch Trubisky, and everything he said, whether it was good or bad, is on every show. All of it. Mm-hmm. He wants the TVs turned off, or he's this, or he's that. Every single quarterback. I'm going to ask you this. I said this on the air, and most agreed with me. A few did not. I believe you've been here since what, 98?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, over the last 25 years, I believe Justin Fields, through no fault of his own, is the most divisive athlete that I have seen come through Chicago. Derrick Rose, when he got injured and didn't come back quick enough, Jay Cutler. Those are the guys, along with Justin Fields, who, if you say something negative about Justin, the vitriol that comes from the Justin Fields fans is insane. Do you agree with that statement?
Yeah, I think obviously it's louder now because of social media, right? Obviously, I think Jay Cutler, remember when he had that MCL injury in the NFC Championship game, right? That was divisive right there. A lot of people were on one side or the other, right? And it was a lot. I don't really remember social media being big back then, but
it wasn't.
Justin Fields now. You're right, Cap, and I think it's just the fact that people are dying for a quarterback to be the guy, right? And they don't want. They think that, like, you saying something bad about him is what's making him not a good quarterback. It's just not the way things work, right?
Right.
Yeah, you're going to be a good quarterback. You'll be fine. You want to tell people on social media, you protecting the guy is not going to make him a good quarterback, right? It's just not. So it's just interesting, Cap. I think it's a good point. He probably is, just because social media is so big nowadays.
Tommy, do you agree with that statement that Justin, since I said 25 years when Olin moved to the town, you've been here a little longer, Justin is the most divisive, through no fault of his own, the most divisive athlete, because if I send a tweet out, I would take Caleb Williams. The responses are like insane.
You're going to have to hire private security if you say that, so be careful.
Correct.
No, you're right. I've never seen anything like it in my entire life, and I heard before my shitty internet went down again, as it has a couple of times. I heard Olin say, like, it's because of what social media has added to the equation, and I agree. I think, look, I mean, this is a longer conversation and a different forum, but I think social media is going to be the downfall of our society. And it's poisonous at times. And I think it doesn't serve much of a purpose other than gathering information and actually being the vehicle to have shows like this. So I think that this is great, but I think all the nastiness out there is just doesn't help the cause. And I agree with you 100%. I think it's crazy out there that, you can't have a civil conversation anymore with a disagreement or differing in opinions before, and, I probably shouldn't even say this because it's just going to get me in trouble. But like when Olin Kreutz says something, y'all should shut the F up and listen to him when it comes to football. Now, I wouldn't ask for the same for me. I didn't play the game with Olin. But like I get such a kick out, and I'm not saying everyone's perspective isn't warranted. So everyone should have their own opinion. But I would just say, like, just defer to guys who have been there and done it, especially guys like Olin who did it at such a high level. That would be my only advice to people. What frustrates me most is I get Jimmy and Elgin. that's got strong feelings and is telling Olin that you have no idea what you're talking. Like, stop, Jimmy and Elgin. Like, just, you know what I mean? Like,
I gotta get time to talk to my wife and 4 daughters here. You know what I mean? When I say something,
you know what I'm saying though. Like, I'm all for everyone having an opinion. Let's just be civil with one another. And I don't know, Cap, why it has become such a hot conversation. If you say, hey, listen, guys, I really like Justin a lot. I think he's a good leader. I think he's a hard worker. I think he does a lot of good stuff in the community, but it's my evaluation after looking at the tape that I think that Caleb Williams is probably a better option for the Bears. Like, that shouldn't make you Satan. It just shouldn't.
But it does. You guys are both the parents of Division I athletes. Tommy had multiple daughters go play at Northwestern, at Vanderbilt in soccer. Olin, you have 2 kids in college playing football, and you got younger kids coming along who are in athletics. You were at one of your kids' games today. How do you monitor their social media presence, not as adults, but as they're coming up? How do you monitor that and help guide them to not do something stupid?
You just the same way you monitor everything else, right? You sit them down, you talk to them about, what's expected of them and what's expected in this house, and set the standard and leave it there. And they know what's accepted and what's not, and they're going to make mistakes and do stupid things, as they all do, the kids do. But I have 6 of them, and I can't tell you how many stupid things they do in one day. But these kids nowadays, they're smart, right? In social media, most of them they've grown up with it, and they know, like, what you put on there is there for life. And that's something that Wendy, my wife's constantly reminding them. When you put on social media, will be there for the rest of your life. But they're also told that, and now they're coached at at Illinois, they're coached at Loyola. They know all these things that are going on. So a lot of them have it handled, and I'm sure they'll make mistakes, but it's just something like anything else you have to talk to them about.
Yeah, my kids now, they're not kids. They're my adults. My adults now are 30, they're 30, 28, 26, and 20. And 3 of them played Division I soccer. The 4th one decided that she had a knee injury and it wasn't something that she wanted to do. But they all, like Olin said, they've all gone through the difficult moments of posting stuff that they probably regretted. But I think my message to them, not to get too deep, was always that, look, don't allow others to determine your value by likes or dislikes or things that they will say or how they interact with you on social media. One of the messages I always tell my kids is that, only you can define you. You'll go through life as others are trying to define you in so many different ways. But ultimately, if you think about it, based on your work ethic, your priorities, what's important to you, you have full control over how you're defined. And I think that, when it comes to social media, just be wise, understand that it is a polluted environment in a lot of ways. Most of these people are not your friends. They're acquaintances, or they're just people out there in the ether, and just, err on the side of caution.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we got the playoffs starting. Before we get out of here, playoffs are starting. Like, okay, Miami signing guys off the street to please. Can you come play? It's going to be 9 below. I got nobody on the defensive line. So they've got Bruce Irvin and all these guys showing up. I don't think Miami can beat Kansas City in that cold weather. I don't think Pittsburgh can beat Buffalo. So who are you guys targeting that's coming out of the AFC and the NFC? OG?
This round is the wild card round is always interesting, right? And, for me, I always start at the line of scrimmage, and Myles Garrett versus Laramie Tunsil, that Houston-Cleveland matchup. I'm going to love watching that matchup, right? But you would imagine, I don't see Joe Flacco. I mean, they've been good. I just don't think, like we talked about, in the playoffs, I usually take the team with the best quarterback. So I just go through it, and I find a quarterback. The one that really interests me is I think the Rams are going to beat the Lions in Detroit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I do. I really do. I think the Rams are hot. Now, listen, the one thing that may offset that is that the offensive line Detroit has may take over the game. But it's going to be interesting to watch. I just think that Stafford and McVay together are just dangerous in the playoffs. So that's one that maybe if you ask me what's a crazy pick I got this week, that may be my crazy pick.
That's a game I'm really interested in for obvious reasons. Remember, Jared Goff went to a Super Bowl with the Rams and with McVay, and then they just decided that relationship wasn't going to be, the best for everybody involved, so they moved on. I think this is going to be a really good game. I agree with Olin. I think McVay can coach his ass off. Stafford's playing good football. They've got some good receivers. They're good at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football as well. I also think that the Dallas-Green Bay game is interesting to me. Green Bay's got the youngest team in the National Football League. Dallas is almost unbeatable at home. Could Jordan Love truly go in there as an inexperienced first-year starter with a group of guys that nobody really knows who they are? And can they be competitive? I think that one's also something to keep an eye on.
How does the NFL end up with these storylines, right? Like McCarthy against LaFleur and Green Bay and Stafford back in Detroit with golf. Can Baker Mayfield beat Jalen Hurts and the Eagles? I mean, it's going to be interesting to watch these matchups as we go through. The Eagles, I've never seen anything like how they're playing football the last 6 or 7 weeks.
Yeah, they've collapsed.
But I guess we talk a lot about on this show about coaches and how important it is.
Yeah.
You lose all those coaches, man. You lose 2 guys who become head coaches. I will always argue there are less elite coaches than there are elite players in the NFL. And when you lose them, it hurts.
And it's funny, too, Olin, like everybody says how difficult it is. I heard Ryan talking today about to be quarterback in Chicago. It's difficult. Try being a coach who took your team to the Super Bowl in Philadelphia, and they're talking now about if they found
firing him
in round 1 that he's going to get fired. Try being an athlete or a coach in Philly. That's where it's a little bit hairy.
Crazy, man.
And it's funny because Mike Vrabel, we heard through back channels, somebody I know who knows Vrabel, I can't believe you guys signed Nate Davis. He doesn't like to practice. And now we're wondering why they've had their struggles at right guard. And then he dumped A.J. Brown on the Eagles. And all we keep hearing is from people who cover the Eagles, oh, that guy's a problem in the locker room. I mean, you look at elite coaches like Mike Vrabel, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, and then you look at his coaching staff, right, what he's did the last couple of years. And it hasn't been great, right? So I don't, it's just, if you're not there with your feet on the ground to figure out everything that's going on and go through all the decisions and all the history, you just don't know. But it seems like a guy like Vrabel is a hell of a football coach. And when you move on from elite guys like that, I mean, you're really taking a risk, man.
Big time. Well, guys, this is our final show of the season. If we do get some massive breaking news, whether they trade Justin or trade the pick, I'll get you back, but I want to thank you for a phenomenally fun year. Even though they went 7-10, didn't make the playoffs, I think we have the best football show in the city, bar none, and that's because of the 2 great analysts that I was blessed to have.
Can I just say I've enjoyed the hell out of it. Thank you both. And, I mean, I'm almost 57 years old. I say it all the time. You're never too old to learn, and I got to say, and I'm not just kissing his ass, I learned a lot from Olin this year about the line of scrimmage and things that are important. So you're never too old to continue to learn, even if you think you know everything. That would be my words of advice to young football fans.
Well, I appreciate it, guys, man. Tom, it's the same thing for me. Tom talked about the second level wide receivers and the way to look at it helped me a lot. And Cap, you are the captain of the ship, man.
Yeah,
keep steering in the right direction, and make sure you leave me and Tom's bonuses from all your new sponsors in our mailbox.
I'll make sure those get to you quickly. Hey, you guys have a great night. Bear down, and I will be in touch. And thank you to all of our fans who have been just phenomenal. Thousands and thousands of views. So thank you again. You guys have a great night, and go Bears.
Go Bears.
Thanks, guys.
This new year, make your home feel new again with the home renewal experts at Feldco.
Now is the perfect time to start your home upgrade with 30% off Feldco windows, siding, doors, and roofing. You can trust us to bring your project to life and leave you delighted. Let us delight you this year with 30% off Feldco windows, siding, doors, and roofing.
30% off ends soon. Hurry. Call now.
For quality windows, siding, and doors, call 866 for Feldco.
Feldco Bears Recap Live is brought to you by Feldco, Chicago's home renewal experts. Call 866-4FELDCO. Four Seasons Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. For all the right reasons, Four Seasons. Vienna Beef. Go to viennabeef.com and use code CAP23. That's KAP23 at checkout for 15% off your order today. And Dr. Pepper. Grab an ice-cold, refreshing Dr. Pepper today at a McDonald's near you. Westtown Bakery in Wheeling at the corner of Lake Cook Road and Milwaukee. Enjoy the best brunch Saturday and Sunday mornings.